All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first class of the Database Design and Programming with SQL. It feels so much great to have you here. You know, it's Thursday, that favorite day of the week, my favorite day of the week, where I get to interact and understand your thought process on a deeper level. That said, where I'm at, the sun is out. You know what? That's a great sign that today is gonna be a great day. So I'm Zablon. I'm usually not alone, but today I'm alone. Usually I'm usually joined by my colleague and also the lead module, Mr. Gerard Machurcheze, who has passed his regards. I will not be able to join today. He'll be with us in the next session. Um, and today I wanna so today we're going to learn about the database concept, and then later on we are going the sound. The sound is not working. It's equal to number. Check on your sound. All right. How about now? There's an echo. Is the sound okay? You can see quite a number saying the sound. It's perfect. All right, cool. Great. We can continue. Now, so today we are going to learn a lot of concepts regarding database, mostly the introduction part, and then later on, we are going to do the hands-on. So please, I would like to just ask you to get your computer, get a notebook, because I'll also be asking you to take notes where you can easily make a reference in case you want to maybe uh, check out a point later. Now, some of the key objectives that you're going to achieve from this session. Number one, uh, at the core of this lesson, you're going to learn how to do the following. So number one, you're going to identify the different components of a database. Number two, understand the basics of the database, i.e. what is data, what exactly is this information, and database in computing concept. Later on, we're going to describe what we call the database management system, aka the DBMS, and also be able to differentiate the different types of database model, i.e. The network model, the relational, object-oriented, and the hierarchical. And then we're going to finalize with the database concept, i.e. the table, rows, columns, primary keys, and foreign keys. Let's start by breaking down what exactly is data. I'm sure quite a number of you have come across the word data. Maybe you can tell us by your own definition what you understand exactly by the term data, without even looking at my definition. Kenyans are saying MBs. Yeah, that's what we say in Kenya. So in Kenya, we usually refer to internet bundles as data. Yes, we say that going by the definition that is on your screen, we say that data is nothing but raw and unprocessed facts. Okay. Um, Data is a collection of rows, right? Unorganized facts and details like text. This can be observation, figures, symbols, and description of things. What I'm trying to say is that data does not carry specific purpose and has no significance. Data is measured in terms of bits and bytes, which is a basic unit in context of computer storage and processing. Perhaps allow me to switch off from a screen. We can digress a little bit. I want to go to where we can draw a little bit. Don't worry, I'll be sharing the slides with you after the lesson. So I've opened Draw.io. Let me know if my screen is still visible on your end. You can just react with a thumbs up if the screen is still visible. Amazing, thank you. So let's understand the different types of data. Okay, so we have the different types of data. We have the qualitative and the quantitative, okay? So when we say quantitative, we talk of the numerical form, okay? This can be a cost of an item, weight, your height. Maybe you can tell us what's your height. For me, what? Around the last time I checked, around 5'9", 5 inch. They are 5'9". Maybe please tell us what's your height. I'm not a short person. Patricia, I'm not a short person. 5'9" also. I can see quite a number saying 5'9". So 5'9" gang in the house, eh? 5'5". 5'3", 5'2". There's 4'1". Okay. 4'1". All right, cool. Now that's what we call the quantitative, all right? And then we have what we call the qualitative type of data. This is what we call the descriptive, not numerical. This can be, let's say, your gender. It can be male or female. The hair color of a person. This can be name. Can be anything. Okay, that's what we call the qualitative. They talk about the quality of the data. Okay, then let's say, for example, you've gathered the data. All right, maybe you've shared the data that you've gathered or collected with an organization. And then the organization is gonna use the data that you provided to them to make a what? A decision. And then that decision will lead to an action. And then that action will either affect the end users or the users within the company, either positively or negatively. But what I don't want you to forget is the definition that we described about data. We said data is what? Please just remind me in the charts. Data is, have we forgotten, guys? Are we noting somewhere? Raw facts, right? Raw facts. Right now, if I give you the data, if I tell you, let's say, for example, if I tell you there are like 30 million Kenyans, we have 30 million Kenyans, okay? That is just data, but you need to break it down for someone to understand, right? So let's break down another great concept that we call information. We say, allow me to to switch back. So we say information is data that has been processed, organized, and interpreted to give it meaning and context. Okay, information, we say information is processed, number one, organized and structured data. It provides context of the data and enable decision making. Companies are able to make informal decisions based on the data that has been collected. Information is extracted from the data by analyzing and interpreting the data that has been fetched or collected or brought to the company. If we go back to our drawing, so you've collected the data. It could be any kind of data. You provided the data. The company has to make a decision, and then that decision, once they make a decision, an action has to be taken based on the data. That's what we call information. Perhaps let me just ask, tell us how many people are in your country? I remember the last time we had Kenya. They said how many, or was it around 52? Yeah, 52 exactly. Right now, I don't know. It could be anywhere, maybe 55 or 60. I see South Africa saying they're around SA. How many people are in SA, by the way? Uganda, how many? Oh, to 50 million. Wow, that's a lot of people in Nigeria. Egypt, 110. Really? Egypt, 110? I don't think so. uh, TZ, 65. Ethiopia, 135. Wow. I think some of the numbers you guys are giving me is a stretch. 135 in Ethiopia. Not that I'm refusing, but hey, Nigeria, 300. So there's 300 and then there's 250. Which one is it? Zambia, 20 million. Okay, that one I can believe. 1 billion in Africa. Okay, we're not. Oh, 4 billion in Nyeri. Hey, the Mulima gang, I can see you. uh, Mozambique, 33. I haven't seen Uganda's data. I've been waiting for anyone from Uganda just to tell me how many people are there. UG is 48. Perfect. Okay, 48, 49. There, it ranges around there. Somali, no way. 117 million Somali. Nah, that one I refuse. That one you can take it to the bank. No way. 117 million. How? No, we are not talking about the wealth of the nation. We're talking about the people in that country. Somali, it could be anywhere ranging from maybe 100,000 to maybe 500,000 people. Because most of them are in Kenya. Let's be honest. Eh? Somali, the Somali gang are already here. They're not there. They are here in Kenya. The majority are here. The remaining, because you've said 117 million in Somali, now 100 million are in Kenya. The remaining are there. Those are the ones who refuse to migrate. Anyway, let's proceed. Now, uh, that is data we've just collected. We've said 20 million, 30 million, very huge numbers, right? Now, let's break it down. Let's give it maybe a gender ratio. It could be 1 to 2, maybe male to female is 1 to 2. Now, that is information. You get it? Maybe we could say this year in Kenya, there are around 3,000 newborns. Now, that is information, okay? We've collected the data and then we've broken it down. Using the information that we've been able to get or analyze from the data that we've been provided, we've collected information, and that using that information, we can be able to make a decision, an informed decision. Are we somewhere? Have we understand the concept of data and information, the difference? Anyone who's still confused can let me know, then I can know where to repeat. All right, let's proceed. If you want the diagram, I'll still provide it. Now, uh, okay, now we've been hearing the term database, database, database. Now let's break it down, deconstruct, and get to decipher what exactly a database is. So allow me to switch back. So what exactly is this database? I'm sure most of you have been hearing the term database, database. What exactly is this database? Please tell us, what exactly is this database? Yeah, most of you are like this person over here are wondering, hey, what exactly is this database? So we say a database is a collection of related data organized in a way that can be easily accessed, managed, and updated. All right. You do interact with data every day. Okay. Allow me to switch off from the slides. Uh, let's talk about one of the most, believe it's famous. Okay, Spotify, right? Let me delete that. Let's talk about Spotify. You download Spotify app, right? Then you have the app. You curate a playlist, and then let's say you're called Jonte Fresh, right? I don't know if you guys have ever seen that advertisement of Jonte Fresh. You guys know Jonte Fresh? Kenyans, do you know Jonte Fresh? You don't know Jonte Fresh? You guys, my age is showing. Hey, okay, I can see what you did there. My age is showing. You don't know Jonte Fresh? Hey, okay. Anyway, so Jonte has downloaded Spotify and then Jonte has curated a playlist. Now, Jonte has a playlist, a very nice playlist. It could be, maybe tell us, you can even hook us up to the song that you're bumping to right now. Uh, for me, lately I've been listening to a lot of private school, piano, Tatohasi. My people are down south, Tatohasi for the win, eh? Now, let's say you've created a playlist. And then have you ever wondered like where is that music stored? Where exactly is that music stored? Or where has Spotify stored those music that you're able to curate and create a playlist? Another example, TikTok. Okay. Now at least now when I say TikTok, now I know we're on the same page. TikTok, right? TikTok. Right now you've created good content. Which is the famous content right now? I'm not sure. Is it no, cousin has already passed. Which one? Which one? Um one term, two term. Okay. Opatelo. Okay. I can see. Please, guys in Uganda, which is the most recent content you guys are enjoying? Okay. You can see quite 70. Okay. Okay, okay. Whichever one. Now imagine you've created a content and then uploaded it on TikTok, right? So once you've uploaded it on TikTok, where is that content stored? Because every time you log into your TikTok app, you still find the video that you just uploaded. Technology, right? Yes. Where is it stored exactly? Where? Okay. Now, I'll be showing how you can create database and get to store any kind of files or data in a structured way. Throughout the entire of this course, we'll be sharing a mind-shifting concept like database. So to give you like a simple definition that I usually use for database, I usually say it's simply a structured collection of data. If you write that somewhere, even if you go and you meet someone, maybe someone who does not have a knowledge of database, you tell them just it's simply a structured collection of data. Simple. You keep it simple, right? A structured collection of data. All right. But when you talk about database, there's something very subtle that always follows up. We call this DBMS. I know right now you're wondering, what exactly is this guy talking about? What is this DBMS? Okay, don't worry, just hold on, hold on. I'm going to give you the definition. Definitely, I want you to write the definition somewhere. Let me show you the definition. So we talk about DBMS, right? DBMS. Now, what exactly is a DBMS? A DBMS is a software that allows creation, definition, and manipulation of a database, allowing users to store, number one, process, and analyze data easily. Perhaps this word might look a bit uh, ambiguous or too complex. Let me bring it home. When I say DBMS, it's simple. Think of it as MySQL, Postgres, Oracle. Those are the DBMS, the software. Okay? Are we together? The software. I've mentioned quite a number, right? The software. But now, in the formal definition, you call them DBMS. It's just a software. Data, we say that DBMS primary goal is to provide a way to store, retrieve database information that is both convenient and efficient. It actually comes from a combination of two words, database and management system. Remember we said what? A database is what? It's simply a structured collection of what? Data. Okay? Perfect. Now, let me draw for you a small diagram. Just allow me to switch off a little bit. Okay, I hope you're noting down as we go. All right, that's the one. Now, we have our application here and then DBMS, the software, you've installed it to your operating system, and then you create a what? A database, right? Now, we have quite a number of DBMS, but for now, we'll be using MySQL throughout the entire of this course. But you can always try out with other ones like Oracle, the Microsoft SQL Server, and all that. So a database, it's a collection of related information. We say that DBMS stores the data, so it's available to many users for different purposes. DBMS, it's a collection of programs users can use to create and maintain a DB. Okay, so DBMS is just the software. You can download from the application, well, not application, but the internet. So we have quite a number of popular DBMS. We can even check. Allow me to research a little bit. You can check the popular DBMS. All right. We have quite a number, but the most famous one is MySQL. Okay, this one is sharing a lot of information. Okay, let's just go with the definition we are given here. I believe my screen is still visible. We have MySQL, we have Microsoft SQL Server, we have Mongo, we have IBM DB2, we have Apache Cassandra, we have Amazon Aurora, which is a serverless database. We also have Oracle database. Now, let's talk about the application of a DBMS. For example, if I give you an industry, tell me what can you use a database to do in that kind of in an industry, right? So for example, a banking sector, what can you use a database for? Yeah, please just tell us in the chats. To store clients' data, thank you. You know what? Let me see if I can get my badge. There's a badge that I'm looking for. Where's the app? So I'll be awarding badges to people who will be the most interactive. Let me see if I can get my badge. Okay, the apps. You can see the transactions for loan to store the loaners to store users information. Okay, good. Another industry, telecommunication. Okay, this one's a hard one. What will you use the DBMS to do in a telecommunication kind of industry? Call tracking. Wow, that's impressive. Servers, yes, to store contacts, call logs, data storage, client details to keep the record active. Okay, another industry, railway reservation. Railway reservation, bookings, passenger info, travel info. Great. All right, before we touch on the advantages of DBMS, let's talk about the application a little bit. Okay. So we have our DBMS. It's stored in either of the operating system. Now, the users interact with the application through the interface. The API, it provides a way the application to send queries and commands to the DBMS, okay? And then the DBMS stores the data securely and in an organized way, okay? I believe my drawings are visible, all right? Now, the application processes data and presents it to users through the interface. Okay, are we still together? Maximize the screen. Let me try. Let me see if I can be able to maximize. Okay, is that perfect? Okay, that's too much. How about that? Okay, let me try to do it in a different way. Just give. Okay, let me stop resharing and then reshare my entire screen. Okay. Another alternative, okay, I can see the way to zoom from Zoom. Maybe you can try on your side as well to zoom in. Okay, just try from your side. I think there's a button at the bottom of the window that allows you to zoom. There's a zoom ratio, you can say 100%. Okay, yes, just try it on your end. Perfect. So, I was trying to describe. So you've created a database as an engineer, and then you stored inside one of these systems. It could be a Linux, a Windows, or a Mac, right? Remember we said the software is called what? A DBMS. So we said a user interact with the application through the interface, and then the application uses the API to communicate with what? The DBMS. DBMS. The API provides a way for the application to send queries and commands to DBMS. The DBMS, apologies, the DBMS stores the data securely and in an organized manner. Okay. The application processes data and presents it to users through what you call an user interface. Are we together up to that point? Do we all now understand the meaning of DBMS? You can just react with a thumbs up if you're okay. Amazing. Great. Let's talk about the advantages of a DBMS, the software, right? So if you want to write the definition, I'll be sharing with you the slides and then you can just summarize it. Some of the advantages of a DBMS. Okay. So we have what we call reduced data redundancy. I'm sure quite a number of you understand the word redundancy. Maybe you can just tell us, what do you understand by the term redundancy? Zadok says repetition. Amazing. Repeated, Samuel. JM, repetition. Duplication, Tabitha. James, data repetition. Amazing. Okay. So when you use this software, it helps you to reduce what you call data redundancy. So it provides it controls redundancy such that it stores information on a single database file. All right, are we together? It stores what? Information on a single file. We have what we call efficient data retrieval. Okay, It helps you as a user to retrieve data easily when you're trying to fetch. Also, when you develop maybe an application and you want to fetch data from the database, provides a way to easily do that. Another thing is maintenance is super easy, and it allows you to develop anything quickly. All right. Finally, we have seamless integration. What do I mean by seamless integration? This is something that we'll be seeing throughout the entire of this course, where I'll be showing you different ways of creating a database using the programming languages that you know, like Python, Node.js. Those are the only ones which I'll be using because those are the ones we'll be learning throughout the entire of this cohort of the PLP program, right? I mean, you can if you have the powers to try with any other programming, it doesn't have to be Python and JavaScript. You can even try with Java, PHP, which other one, Rust, any that you want, right? Seamless integration. They usually say that anything that has an advantage, there's always a caveat, right? Let's see some of the disadvantages of this DBMS, the software. All right. Number one, complexity. It could be a little bit of a challenge to someone who doesn't know exactly what a DBMS is. Uh, let me even explain in a better way. The installation part. How many of you have experienced a challenge when it comes to the installation? You can just react with a thumbs up. Right? Quite a number, right? Complexity. Now, I believe that point now is familiar. Complexity. Because initially, you did not know why are you installing this software? Because I was just telling you, please just make sure you have uh, this install. We'll be using it later, but some of you are not asking, why should I install? Okay, why? Okay, maybe I'm experiencing this. Why is it asking me to change the port here? Why should I use this port? The port is saying that 3 or 6. Why not the 3 or 10? Sometimes it can be a little bit of a challenge, all right? And then we have what we call cost. So with cost, we find that there are version of MySQL which are paid for, right? And um, it can be a high cost, okay, to store some of the data, especially in the cloud databases. Yeah. Another thing is they occupy quite a lot of space in your computer. Yesterday when I was trying to help someone to install, remember I had to ask him to uninstall some of the stuff they were not using, right? Because it does occupy a lot of space and requires a lot of space. All right. Yeah, that's just about the DBMS, the database. Okay, we can now breathe out. Okay, we can now take a sip of water. Just make sure you have your coffee close to you or a glass of water. Yes, I can see what you're saying. Coffee, coffee, coffee. All right. But one thing that I just want to remind you is, please just make sure you have your computer ready because I want everyone to practice in the hands-on. All right. Another important topic is about the components of a DBMS, the software, right? So we have quite a number of components. We have the hardware, the software, the data, the database access language, and what you call the procedure. All right, are we together? Can just react with a thumbs up if we are together. Thank you so much. Now, let's talk about the hardware. The hardware is what you can touch, right? Just look at your computer. Are you able to touch it? You can touch your mouse, your keyboard, right? Your mouse, that's what you call the hardware. Anything that you can touch, right? Now, by the hardware, it means the physical storage where data will be stored, the hard disk. I don't know if some of you have ever seen the hard disk. The hard disk. Then we have the software. Okay. Now, the software that we'll be using to interact between uh, the software where we'll be using to test some of the commands that we'll be writing, which we call the engine. The engine which you've installed where? In the hardware. And then we have what you call the data. The data is the data that you have stored in the database. All right. And then we have what you call the database access language, aka SQL, what you use to create this data, SQL. We have procedures. Stored procedures, these are a series of steps where you've created, meaning that they can be triggered at any time that you want. Maybe you want it to go from point A to point B. So we call it a series of steps, what you call procedures, which can be executed later. We have what you call users of a database. Who are these users? Number one, we have the database administrator, right? We have the software developer and we have the end user. The end user can be broken down into a native user, an expert, and a sophisticated user. All right, so a database administrator, this is the person who maintains the database, pays for maybe, let's say the license, ensure the software is up to date. Yeah, basically creating the database, creating the schema, just doing the ERD, ensuring that data flows from one point to the next point. We have the software developer. The software developer is the person who creates what? The program to interact with what? The database. I mean, maybe by now you should tell me, where do you fall? Do you fall like number one, number two, or number three? Where do you fall? I'm breaking. You fall at number two. I can see someone is saying number one. Another person is saying number three. Both two and three. Three. Okay, 2.5. Now, which one is 2.5? Where? 2.5 is where? Okay. Now, these are some of the users that who interact with the DBMS from time to time. Let's talk about another key topic in the introduction of database, that we what we call the database model. Okay. So a database model defines the logical design and structure of a database. It defines how data will be stored, okay, accessed, and updated in a DBMS. So I want to talk about these three model, okay? But these are not the only models that we have. There are so many. There's object-oriented model. There's NoSQL, which will be covering later. Maybe if you choose the man specialization way later on, not now. Okay, where you'll be learning about the NoSQL, the MongoDB, and all that. The hierarchical model, um, the hierarchical model, database model, organizes data into a tree-like structure with a single root to which all the other data is linked. Okay, I don't like this definition. Let me give you a simple example. Think of it like as a file system within your computer. Anytime you see the file system within your computer, allow me to switch off a little bit. From there, you can see my computer desktop, right? Can you all see my desktop? Perfect. So if you create a what? A folder, right? And then inside you create another folder. So the parent, it creates a what? A tree kind of structure, the hierarchical model. With that example, it's now easy to understand what exactly an hierarchical model is, right? Are we great? So if you want the definition, the hierarchical model organizes data into a tree-like structure with a single root to which all the other data is linked. Let's talk about the network model. The network model is an extension of the hierarchical model. In this model, data is organized more like a graph and allowed to have more than one parent node. We say that the network model represents data in form of nodes, and they connect using what you call links between them. It allows each record to have multiple children to form what you call a graph. And then we have now the main suspect, relational model. So with relational model, it stores data in form of tuples with what tuples and attributes, meaning rows and column, which together form what you call a table. Each table in a database carries a key, okay, which makes it unique from other tables. The basic structure of data in the relational model is stable, and all the information related to a particular type is stored in rows of that table. Whew, we've covered a lot, right? All right, now we are almost doing our hands-on, okay? Let's just finalize the theory and then we go to the hands-on. Okay, let's talk about SQL, SQL. So it depends with you how you'll pronounce it. Some of I've heard people calling it SQL, others SQL. Just depends with where you went to school. Yeah, if you are like me who went to where we went to school um in where we call the rural place, like Mwisho wa Lami, the end of the road. We pronounce it as SQL. But if you went to school in the urban places, we pronounce it as SQL, right? Yes. Now, SQL stands for Structured Query Language. SQL is the standard language used to access the database. Okay. SQL is composed of three parts. We have the data definition language, we have the data manipulation language, and then we have data control language. We'll be covering this in depth in our next class, okay? Today, I'm just introducing you to some of these concepts. But as from next week, that's when we'll be delving more into like what exactly is the DDL? What's a DML? What's a DCL? Now, the data definition language includes statements for defining the database and its objects, such as tables, views, and procedures. Okay. And then we have the DML, which contains statements for updating and querying data. Now, with data control language, allows you to grant permission to users to access specific data in the database. Okay. For now, just note this somewhere. I'll be asking you in our next class. We're gonna connect more. Okay, we are going to solidify the concept of the DML, the DTL, and the DCL. Okay. Yes. For now, just summarize it somewhere in your notebook where you can make a reference, and then I'll be explaining it more in our next classes. What exactly do they stand for, and where can you use them? Okay, let's deconstruct and break down some of the common terms you'll be hearing me mentioning along the way. We have what you call a table. So a table, think of a table as a well-organized spreadsheet, which I'm sure everyone has interacted with the spreadsheet. The normal Microsoft Excel, that's the spreadsheet, right? It's a collection of data arranged in rows and columns. What's a row? A row represents a single record. Okay, this is what we call a row. Please look at my mouse there. Okay, you see where I'm moving my mouse there. And then we have a column. These are what you call columns. Columns, they define the specific types of information stored in each row. Okay, another name for column is what we call an attribute. We have what we call a primary key. This is a unique identifier for each row. Okay, as you can see, the numbers over here, 64, 73 is what we call the unique identifier, the primary keys. We have what we call a foreign key. There's no foreign key here. I'll be showing you later what exactly is a foreign key, but it's used to ensure what we call referential integrity between different tables. Finally, we have what we call data types. To keep data organized and accurate, we use data type. Think of it like labels that specify the kind of information a column can hold. All right. Are we together up to that point? Maybe you can tell us some of the data types that you've learned from other classes. It could be the web class, maybe the Python class. Let me tell you one of my favorites is the integer. Which other one can you be able to just say it from the classes that you've covered so far? Okay, so now I think we are ready to start our hands-on. Okay, so remember, I had asked you to ensure that your computer is on. So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, okay? A 5-minute break, and then we come back ready with energy to now start doing the hands-on. Just make sure you have your computer ready and it's working. All right, let's take a 5-minute break.
Ndipheko ngokwami sendifuna ukuya ekhaya ngiyofudumele senze ukushiyana konke kwakho Ndipheko ngokwami sendifuna ukuya ekhaya ngiyofudumele senze ukushiyana konke kwakho Phela unibone ngithanda umuntu okude nami ngoba kusafani naqala Phela unibone ndizinikele empini okude nami ngoba ngiyalimala phakathi Phela unibone ngithanda umuntu okude nami ngoba kusafani naqala Phela unibone ndizinikele empini okude nami abanye alimala ngaphakathi Ngoba izimo zethu asifani Namalanga awafane Namhlanje uthanda lo Sasuthanda na Elapho sendithozamile uthandwe lakho Ngoba izimo zethu asifani Namalanga awafane Namhlanje uthanda lo Sasuthanda na Elapho sendithozamile uthandwe lakho Yini Wanithembisa kini Wanangoku ndilindile Sendibuyele ekhaya Sendibuyele ekhaya Yini Wanithembisa kini Wangoku ndilindile Sendibuyele ekhaya Sendibuyele ekhaya Wathi ngikushiyile uma wangifundisa ukuthi abo phezela nganyala ngoba ukuya ngawe habe ngiyinto yokudlala engakunika amandla phezu kwami ngiyazisola ngakunika amandla phezu kwami ngiyazisola ngoba izimo zethu asifani namalanga awafane namhlanje uthanda lo sasuthanda na elapho sendithozamile othandwe lakho ngoba izimo zethu asifani namalanga awafane namhlanje uthanda lo sasuthanda na elapho sendithozamile othandwe lakho. Ndipheko ngokwami
All right. Believe we are all back, right? Yeah, we can continue now. I can see quite a number asking me to play backbencher. No, I cannot play backbencher. You know, it's not clean. Yes. But if you find any video of the backbencher and any S class that is clean, please feel free to share with me. You know, it's not clean, so I cannot play that song. Yeah. That said, let me share this link. Once you access the link that I'll be sharing, please just go to the GitHub repo and then we can start. But I believe everyone has MySQL installed, right? Because yesterday I spent a lot of hours trying to show you how you can install. All right. If you don't have, just take note of what you'll be doing, and then I can show you how you can install after the class, and then you'll be up to par and up to speed with the rest. Now, the link is on the charts. Let me just close the chat and then share it so that people don't. Okay, tell me if you can see the link. Okay, so once you get the link, please just access the link and then wait for the next direction. So I'll be giving you like 10 seconds to just access. And then once you've accessed, please just open week 1. All right. And then once you've accessed, I want you to open the init.md. It's just inside the week 1. All right. So we'll be doing the hands-on in 2 ways. We'll be using the MySQL visual tool, the workbench, and then finalize with the terminal. And then we are going to also test using 2 labs, the Python lab and then the Node.js lab. All right, so I'm giving you guys a few seconds to access. In the next 1 minute. All right, you can see thumbs up. That means we are all at the same page, right? Now, so where do we start? Okay, so let's start by opening our SQL workbench, the visual tool. So if you're using a Windows, go to, what do we call this one? The Microsoft icon, and then search for MySQL workbench. All right, and then open. Search for MySQL workbench and then open. So once you've opened, it's gonna look like that. That's what you call MySQL Workbench. All right. Great. Now log in. So add the password that you added when you're installing the server for the first time. Okay. So once you've logged in, it will look like that. All right. We have the writing area or the working area where you can test your commands. This is the one. This is the one that we'll be using. This is what you call a graphical tool or the visual tool, one that you can see where you just need to click icons and then all the operation will be handled for you. Okay, I'm giving you guys a few seconds so that we can all be in the same page. I understand that a few of you don't have the software. I'm gonna show you how to install after the class. Okay. And the video will be the recorded video will be provided for you to try on your own. Don't worry. All right, let's proceed. Okay, so first things first, usually I advise my learners before doing anything, it's good that you start by just writing down what exactly are you trying to achieve, right? So we are trying to do what? To create a database. We'll be following the steps that are written here to create a database, all that, and we'll just be following these commands over here. So, but before that, let's break down our task, okay? So we are not only learning how to notepad. So you can open your notepad and then write exactly what are you trying to do. So number one, we are trying to create a database. Task number two, we're trying to do what? We're going to learn how to drop a database. And then later on, we're going to test how to create a database using maybe Python, okay? And finally, test how to create a database using Node.js, okay? So these are the 4 tasks we are going to do in this class. So let's start with task number 1. How do you create a database? To create a database, I'm assuming that we are all in the same page. So you simply start by writing create database. And then this is where you specify the name of your database. You can call yours school. You can even give yours any name, demo, college, journal, blog, any name that you feel you want to write. So what you can also do is just come, copy this and then maybe paste and then replace here the entire of these with what you want to write. Okay. If you want to create maybe another database called test, any name, okay? So the commands are still the same, create. We start by writing create database and then the name of the database. This is where the name of the database is. And then if you pay attention, you see we have a semicolon after our command, meaning we are trying to tell the engine, please end the statement at this point. Okay, so now if we execute, you're going to create two databases. We have the blog database and the test database. I mean, you don't have to go with the names that are written. You can even give it your own name. The name doesn't have to match mine. Okay, just exercise your creative side. Think of it like you can even say a CRM, maybe an LMS, anything. Okay. Then how do you now execute? Because right now we're in the SQL workbench. Remember, I said this is the what? The graphical user interface or the visual tool. So how do you execute? Do you see these icons at the top? You start counting them from the left. 1, 2, 3. Okay. There's one that looks like a lightning sign. That's the one you click, and then the two databases will be created. Okay. So if I execute right now, what do I get? If you pay attention towards the bottom of this window, you'll see that we have two green checks. Okay, meaning I was able to do what? To create the two databases. But we can see them. Where are they exactly? So what we need to do, because we are using the graphical user interface, we just need to come here on the left pane and then refresh. Once we refresh, they'll appear. We have the LMS and the blog database. Okay, you need to refresh from here. Once you've created, you refresh from here. Please just look at where I'm hovering my mouse. You refresh from here, and then they are going to appear. Allow me to switch back to the repo kindly. Now, if you follow these commands, you open the SQL workbench and then connect your local database server. So you need to enter the password, go to the SQL editor where we are writing the SQL commands. And then you can paste this command, okay? Then you just need to copy and then go and paste. So the commands are the same, create database, and then your cool database name. And then to execute and test the commands you've written are correct, you need to click an icon that looks like this. So if we go back to our visual tool, you'll see the icon is here. And then you execute, and then you refresh, they're going to appear. So that's how we've been able to create the database. Before we drop the database or delete the database, how do you tell, let's say we've created two, right? But how do you tell the engine which database do you want to work with? Okay. How do you tell the engine? So to do that, what you need to do is write use, and then you tell the engine which database do you want to work with. We've created two. You can create multiple. You can create as many as you want. Maybe I can just tell the database I want to work on now with blog. Maybe I just want to create a blog site. So I'll tell the engine, this is the database that I want to currently work with. So you start by writing use blog. If you want to work with a database that you've just created with your own name, maybe it could be a CRM, an LMS, you write use blog. And then when you execute, right now, the engine will know. Did you notice something just happened when I executed it? The database was highlighted, it became bold, and then it opened. Inside, you'll see tables, views, stored procedures, function. Okay, right now we don't have any tables, we don't have any views, we don't have any stored procedures, neither the functions. This will come later. So if we go back to our task that we had written here, we've been able to achieve this one. So this one is done, right? So we can remove this. So what I'm trying to teach you here is how you get a problem and then break it down into a series of steps. I'm trying to teach you how you can save on time, what you call the time management, okay? Not just writing the SQL commands. So we've been able to achieve that. This one is done. The next command is how do you drop database? Or in simple terms, how do you delete a database completely? So to delete a database, you just need to maybe remove the keyword and then write drop database and then the name of the database that you want to delete. Meaning, if I execute this, the blog database will be deleted. So if I go on and execute, what will happen? It has disappeared. So to drop a database, you're simply deleting a database. Towards the end of week 7, I'll be showing how maybe if you want to recover a database that has been deleted, you can write a few commands to recover your database. That one will come later. Okay, so drop database is to delete a database. Now, this is what you call the graphical user interface. How about we try with now the terminal? Okay, so let's switch out of the terminal and the not terminal, but the workbench and go to the terminal now. Let's test if we are able to create the same database, but now on the terminal. So I'll open my CMD using the same steps, Windows search, okay, and then search for CMD. So if you're using a Mac or a Linux, the terminal, the shell. For Windows, guys, the CMD. That's how mine looks like. Now, so we need to log into the server. Now there's no the visual tool where you can see how the billing side of the database looks like. Now it's just the terminal. So we want to exercise what we've learned, how to create a database. But now we are testing with what? We are testing with the terminal. Okay, so I'm giving you guys like 10 seconds to just open your terminal. If you don't have the software, you can just note down what commands I'm writing. And then after this, I can just show you how to install software, and then you can practice on your own. All right, so let's log into the server. So to log in, you just need to write MySQL, not in caps, but in small, MySQL -u, meaning user. Who's this user that wants to log in, right? For me, it's root, okay? I remember yesterday we had to change the user for one learner. I think his name was Kevin. So Kevin, you'll not write root, you'll write your name, because remember yesterday we changed. So you're not using root, it's Kevin. But for the rest, I'm sure it's root. Please just stick to root, okay? That's the default user. And then we're going to write -t, meaning we want to be prompted to enter the password. Okay, so the commands that I've written on my terminal cuts across whether you're using a Linux, a Mac, or Windows operating system. So if I enter right now, it will prompt me to enter what? My password. So this is my password. You know your password. If your password is 1234, you write 1234. If your password is maybe at Kelvin1, you write that. If your password is at Sarah dot maybe 11, you write that. Okay. And then once I enter, you'll notice that my path has changed. Right now, what I can only see is MySQL. Initially, it was C users administrator, something like that. But now it has changed to what? MySQL. Also, if you're using a Linux, you'll notice that it has changed from the root user or how you've named your admin to now just the MySQL path. Okay. So I want us to test the command that we've just learned. So I'll turn on my caps lock and then write create database. Okay. Here I'll just give it a different name. I'll say school. And then once I press enter, what will happen? I get a response that says query okay, one row affected, and then the time it took. So right now you cannot verify where exactly the database is. So how do you see the database that you just created? Yes, the school, but you can't see it. So how do you check and verify if it's there? So you'll need to write this command, show databases, and then add a semicolon. You'll notice that all my statements are ending with what? A semicolon. Tell the engine or the MySQL engine that these commands ends at this particular point. So if I press enter, you'll notice that I'm given a list of database. Just ignore the information schema and the performance schema and the C schema. These are the ones that also the MySQL. These are the ones that come with the engine installed by default. Okay. Now you'll notice that when I list, we have the LMS that we created earlier. We also have the other one that you've just created right now is the school. It's here, right? So you've been able to create and then verify that the school database actually exists. So what if you want to do away with the database that you just created? What do? You simply write drop database, okay, and then school. Press enter. Right now, if I try to write show databases, what do I get? You see, it has disappeared. It's no longer there. Initially, it was there. Here it is, somewhere here, right? But when I wrote drop database, what happened? It disappeared, or we deleted the database. Let's create another one. So all we need to do is do what? Create database. I can give this name, maybe demo. Okay. And then press enter. What will happen? You'll get query okay. And then how do I tell the engine I want to work with the demo database? So you'll simply need to write use demo. And then the database changed. All right. As we finalize the creation and deletion is in the terminal. So to delete is simply the same. You just need to write drop database demo. And then you get query, okay, 0 rows affected and the time it took. Right now, if I write show databases, you'll not see the demo database. So allow me to switch to go back to the repo. So we've been able to tackle the two hands-on activity using the workbench, right? And then using the terminal, okay? So how do you log in? You can log like this. Let me show you another trick of logging in without having to maybe be prompted to enter the password, okay? So what I'll do, I'll just exit like that, clear my screen, all right? Now, let's say, for example, you just want to see the password that you're typing. You write MySQL -u, okay? That's the user, and then -p. I'll just pass in my password there. That is my password, okay? And then if I press enter, what happens? I log in automatically without being prompted to enter the password. But you'll notice that when I logged in and I entered my password in the terminal, it gave me a warning. Using your password on the terminal can be something there. Can be insecure. That's the warning it gave me. Using the password on the terminal can be insecure. So these are the two ways you can actually log in, right? Using MySQL -u root -p, and then you enter the password. If you don't want people to know your password, you just leave it as -p, and then press enter. You'll be prompted to enter the password. Cool. We've done now the terminal and then the workbench. All right, we're just progressing swiftly. Let's go back to the repo. So what do we have in the repo? We've covered to ensure that it's there, how to tell the engine which database to work with, and then the drop. Now, let's go with the lab now. So we have the labs. We have the lab 1 and the lab 2. So to do the labs, you need to come, the first point of contact is the README, where you get to understand what exactly are you doing here. So lab 1 is just running a Python script that creates a database in your SQL. So what you need to do is you need to clone this to your computer, the entire this repo. So you just need to come here, all right? I believe these are the commands you are taught in the past 2 weeks of the Software Engineering Essential. So click there to copy. I usually like cloning to my desktop, so I'll open my CMD, or it's still here. So I'll clear, and then CD desktop. That's the place I prefer to have all my any project that I'm currently working on. So I'll write git clone, okay, and then paste. So right now, if I press enter, this project is going to be downloaded to my computer. Git clone is just a fancy name of saying download this to my computer. If I press enter, what will happen? There, okay. So I've cloned the project from GitHub to my computer. If I want to verify it's there, I can actually minimize that and verify it's actually there. There it is, as you can see from my desktop. There it is. Hands-on experience example. If I open there, week 1, and then the README, just the same structure that is on GitHub. But we are practicing to be software engineer. So the terminal should be our friend. So the first thing that we'll be doing is opening the file using what? Using the terminal. How do we do that? So the commands that I'll be showing you cuts across whether you're using a Linux, a Mac, or Windows. So CD meaning change directory. I want to move from point A to point B. I want to move from Nairobi to maybe Johannesburg. I want to go from Johannesburg to Kampala. We use CD, meaning change directory. Now, the name of the folder that I want to move into is called what? Hands-on example. If you've cloned the file, where can you get it? It's right here, the name of the directory. Okay, that's the name of a directory. So I'll CD and then write hands-on. Okay, then use the tab button on your keyboard. Okay, keyboard too. You just need to write the first H and then it will autocomplete for you. Or if you have another folder that starts with a H, you just need to provide it with maybe two words and then it will autocomplete for you. So CD hands-on example, if I press enter, what happens? You'll notice that the path has now become too long. Initially, it was ending at desktop, but right now it has extended to hands-on example. Now, from here, where do we go to? We go to CD again, week 1, because we're in the first week, and then press enter. The path is now becoming too long. What I'm trying to do here is simply, you see this path, okay? You notice that I'm in the C users administrator hands-on example week 1. What is happening? What is actually happening is I'm only doing this, okay? Just pay attention. What I'm doing is I'm opening the folder like that, like that. What you see here is the same thing I've done, but now on the terminal. It's just opening the file. So it just depends with you. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer opening like this, clicking, looking for week 1? Where is it? Where is it? Where? There it is. Then like that, like that, like that. Or you prefer using the terminal. Which one takes less time? Again, remember I'm teaching you what? Time management. That's why I'm teaching you like breaking the task into simple steps and how you can save on time. Great. Now, we are now inside week 1. Which lab do we start with? I'm going to start with the Python. So the Python is the lab 1. So I'll cd into lab and then cd lab 1 like that. So what's happening here is I'm just doing it, just doing this way. So I've opened again, I've opened week 1. I've opened the lab. I've opened lab 1, but now using what? The terminal. Okay. So once you've opened lab 1, now let's execute or let's open the lab using the Visual Studio Code. So I'll just write code that way and then click enter. What will happen? It will open it will open the project in Visual Studio Code. Now, this is a simple program that looks like this. I even made sure to add some comments for you to understand like what exactly is happening here. So what is happening here is we're trying to establish a connection between the Python program and the MySQL engine. Okay, so you can see here where this Python program depends on what you call dependency, a MySQL.connector, which is a package that needs to be installed. Okay, just allow me to explain and then I'll show you how to install. So MySQL.connector, that's the packet that will help us to bridge the connection between the Python program and MySQL. Great. So the next step is, you see my comments. These are the comments are written in Python. I'm sure you're not yet there because it's still your first week, right? So where I've written user, you write the user. My user is root. Where I've written my password, I'll just write pass123 because that is my password, and then save. So again, I'll come to line 14 where it says create a new database, add a unique database name. This is where I specify. Trying to think which one, the name of the database. Maybe this time I can call it journal. You can give it any name, right? So right now, if I run this command or this program, the database journal, a database with the name journal is going to be created. So if I open my SQL Workbench, just to verify we don't have anything that's named as journal. Okay, so what is the next step? The next step is to now install the what you call the package dependency. So I'll write pip install -r, meaning recursively requirements like that. Where am I getting these file requirements and you've not seen it? If you go back to the program, there's a file that's written requirements.txt, meaning you need to install these packages or dependencies prior to running the program. So what I'll do is I'll write that and then pip install -r requirements.txt and then press enter. I'm still on my terminal. So once I've pressed enter, it will start installing. Okay, you can see it tells me requirements already satisfied, MySQL connector, because I'd already installed it. But since it is your first time, you see it's in installing. It will take like a minute or a minute max. So once you've installed the packages that you need, what is the next step? The next step is now to run the script. We simply write Python space main.py. We specify the name of the file. Once you are satisfied with what you've written, you press enter. You'll notice that it will give you a response. Database journal has been created. Okay. Now, if I go back to the workbench, allow me to switch and then refresh. What do I see? The journal database is there. Okay. So I'm trying to give you the different ways you can create a database. It's up to you. You can either choose the programming way. You can choose writing the commands on your workbench. You can either choose writing the commands on the terminal. It just depends with you, okay? Whichever you prefer, that's the one. If you prefer using the programming way, well and good. If you like using the workbench, well and good as well. If you prefer the terminal, well and good. They all work. So we've been able to do lab 1. Okay. So remember again, for you to be able to do the both labs, you need to do what? To ensure that you have Python installed and Node.js installed. Okay, so later on, I'll be sharing how you can install Node.js, but you're going to be shown how to install Node.js in your web classes. It's not that hard. It's actually very simple. If you follow a video on YouTube on how to install Node.js, it's actually a simple process than you think. So let's go to the other lab and then we finalize. So I'll close this, close my Visual Studio Code. Now, cd lab 2, press enter. We've now moved from Python. We are now in Node.js. Initially, we were in lab 1, but right now we're in lab 2. So the next step is to do what? Open Visual Studio Code in the same path. All right. So you'll notice that I've written, it's almost a simple script. So the only thing that you need to change here are the user. Depends with you. If yours is Kevin, you write Kevin. If it's root, you write root. So the password for me is pass123, like that. And then the database name also on line 19. That's the only thing you need to ensure you provide. Thinking of a name, maybe a mall. Let's create a mall database. Okay. So I've already specified my name, the name of the database that I want to create. And then once I execute this command, this mall database will be created in the SQL engine. All right. So as it goes, for like any other program, before running it, you need to install all the package dependency. So with Node, it's simple. Actually not Node, but we use what we call npm and then install. Or you can even just write it in short form, npm I, and then it's gonna start installing. Okay, as you can see, it says added 13 packages and audited 14. All that one package is looking for funding. You can ignore all that. We've already installed the package dependency in Node. What is the next step? The next step is now to execute the JavaScript or the Node script. So you'll write node main.js like that, and then you press enter. Once you press enter, it will give you a response that the mall database has been created. Let's verify. Is it there? Okay, we did not have it initially, but if I refresh, what happens? You see the mall database. Today, we've just scratched the surface. We've just been creating the database and deleting the database, okay? Yes, I'm sure you have quite a lot of questions. So I'll be taking in your question. But before I do that, because we will touch on, let me go back here. So we've touched on that. So this one has already been completed. Also this one as well, and also this one. So we've covered that. We've created a database both ways using the programming terminal and the workbench, and also dropped a database. So let me check if there's any other thing remaining. No, there isn't. But remember, you feel free to just practice also on your own. I've written the commands that you need to just execute and then verify. Okay, so I'll be creating for week 2, maybe as from tomorrow. So yeah, if you have some time, you can just pass by and then check. You'll be able to see it. All right, so okay, let me take in questions. Just 1 minute before. Okay, so you can now raise your hand if you have question. But okay, before taking a question, let me just finalize on the slides. Okay, so I need just one volunteer to read for us the checkpoint question, and then the rest of you can just type in the charts what you think the answer is. All right, just one volunteer, and then I can take in your question. Okay, one volunteer. Just one person to read for us. Elizabeth Waiderero. Yes, Elizabeth, you can read for us.
What is the purpose of a DBMS?
Yes, guys, what is the purpose of a DBMS? Let me read some of your comments. Shatula says, to store data, manage DB, to store, analyze. Okay, to store, manipulation, retrieve, all that. Okay, read for us the second one, Elizabeth.
Name 3 data type used in SQL.
All right, name 3 data types used in SQL. I know we haven't had the various types of data type, but I'm sure it's something that you know. No, DDL is not a data type. Int, varchar, date, integers, boolean, amazing. Finalize.
Name 3 components of a DBMS.
Okay, name 3 components of a DBMS. Software, procedures, tables, hardware. Amazing. All right. Now I'll be taking a gent to read for us the next thing. Okay, I don't know why it's not going to the next side. Okay. Now Agent to read for us the key takeaways. Agent now. Okay, I see Bernard. Yes, Bernard, you have the mic.
Thank you. Key takeaways. A DBMS is software that provides database functionality. A database is a collection of related data organized in a way that can be easily accessed, managed, and updated. Lastly, SQL is a standardized language used to access the database.
All right. Thank you so much.
Before I go, I had a question. I don't know whether so let me just take this opportunity to ask that
I'm
question.
coming to that. No problem, but I'm coming to that, Bernard. Just hold on.
Thank you.
All right. Great. We are there. All right. So I'll be giving you a chance first, but hold on before you unmute. So I want to share the other side. Just give me 1 minute, kindly. I'm gonna stop sharing and then reshare. All right. Let me now reshare. Okay, I'm sure you've learned a lot. That was it about today's, but before you leave, I'll be sharing a feedback form in the chat. Please just make sure you just give me your honest feedback so that I know where to improve some of the services, right? Give me your honest. Yeah, I'm sure you've learned a lot. So for the ones who will be watching the recording, this is where I'm gonna stop the recording and then take in question.